Welcome to Small Practice Support Information Session 16. In this Law Society of Ireland recording, Susan Burke talks to Justin Purcell about attracting visitors to your website.
So you're very welcome, Susan, to Small Practice Information Session 16, Attracting Traffic to Your Law Firm Website. So Susan is how would you describe yourself? Susan, a trainer, mentor, lecturer, has lectured here in the Law Society, as an entrepreneur, and has set up your own legal RSS website. So it's a real pleasure to have you on the show today, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. So you're very welcome.
Great, no problem. So yeah, I'm delighted to be here. I hope those of you who are listening will benefit from this session. Some of you may very well have heard me before at CPD cluster events around the country. And I'm always, beating the same drum to try and get you to embrace disruption, to think about your website as a very viable piece of real estate of your business, and how you can actually use that going forward from now to do something with it and make the most of it. So we're attracting traffic to your law firm website. That's what this session is all about. Now, some of you have got websites already and some of you haven't. So I'm going to start the chat by saying that at the moment, the local enterprise office has a very good proposal out for all businesses called the Trading Online Voucher, the TOV, and they have money available. So for those of you who have no websites, now is a time to apply for the TOV and get a website. And for those of you who do have a website, now is a great time to apply to your local enterprise office and get an upgrade of money. And the offer is $2,500 to upgrade. And I know Justin has spoken about the supports that are available for small practices, and they're all listed, and that's just from the top to say that there is money available and you can do this. So
just
today,
to make one point there, so Susan, not sorry to cut over you, on that trading online voucher, you need to provide some description of something innovative that you're doing with regards to your website. So some of the local enterprise offices we hear have restricted access for just a website. So you need to provide some level of innovation.
Well, it actually needs e-commerce. It needs e-commerce, Justin.
Yeah.
What it really needs is some method of paying. But that's a great addition, because if you're talking to a client on the phone and you feel you're giving away a lot of information for nothing, you can say, look, I'm delighted to talk to you, but will you please log into the website and pay €100, 81 plus VAT. Well, it's only 21% now, it was 23, etc., etc. So anyway, I won't deviate too much because I'll keep going for the moment.
Tons to talk about. And I'm going to share your infographic here with the group so that they can have a look at it.
Yeah, you can download this infographic, and I think it's a good one if you want to stay on track over the autumn. This will remind you. And as I said, don't glaze over and lose hope when you see this infographic. You think, what is it about? I'm going to actually break it all down for you. So driving traffic is called this lovely marketing term called inbound marketing. And what that means is that you just drive traffic to your business. And I'll give you a very simple example. You buy the newspaper every day. You open the paper, you read the front page, you open the next page, and you get pulled across the page to read something about Ryanair, to read something about the Wild Atlantic Way that you weren't planning on reading and that you didn't open the paper and you didn't buy the paper for. That's called pull, and you're pulled over to read that. When you're dealing with something online, everybody's very focused. They look at the page and you need something that pushes them towards your website. So you need to be pulled into that content. And this is where your website should be a really viable, relevant, and valuable piece of information. So we're going to talk about the first piece here in the middle, which is the content hub or your website, blog, or portal. Some of you might have a facility in your content management systems to upload a piece of content. So that's why the portal is there. So number one, Google is really smart. And you need to be as smart as Google to get on the front page. Google has 1.8 billion websites listed. So you need to have your website found. So how are you going to do that? What makes you get onto the front page of Google in order to be found on your phone? Well, first of all, you need a decent website. Most websites have 4 pages. You have a home page, an about you page, a listing of your categories or your service page, and a contact us. So you need those 4 pages minimum. Now, you also need a physical address. You'll be very surprised the amount of pages that have a contact us page at the end, and the web designer designs it would be a great idea to put an inbound email inbox to contact you, and they don't put the address down. No air code and no telephone numbers. So check that your website has the right things on it before you start. You need a backstory or a history. Now, when I say backstory, all of you have an About You page, and it has lovely photographs, corporate pictures of you, your profile pictures taken in the library or the boardroom with all the books behind you, etc. And that's all fine. But people like a little bit of an insight into who you are. They like a little bit of personal history about who you are. So if somebody in your firm is very good at triathlons, then put something up about that. This person does this sort of law during the day, and at the weekends he does triathlons. Or if somebody's particularly good at, climbing Kilimanjaro, or if they're involved in a local charity, through football or through some sort of local agency to help children or whatever, put a little bit of that up. People like to get to know, like, and trust you, and they like to know a little bit about you, which gives you credibility, gives you branding, and gives you authenticity as well. So think about that, and don't have just this corporate, very static look of who you are. Try and change it up a little bit and make it a little bit more real. It needs updated, relevant content. I could talk for the next 24 hours about relevant content for solicitors. All of you are capable of writing content if you just get your head around it. So your website needs a page that somebody in the office can access and put up a new piece of content at least once a week. So what I mean by that is all offices, do, not all offices, but a lot of people do a full service firm. So you might have somebody who closed a very good personal injury claim. Write something about it, about the outline of how that case came about something unique about that case that made it easy, why you got such and such a settlement for that client. Some of you might have closed a very good conveyancing this week. Write about it. What were the pros? What were the cons? What showed up? Put that content up on your website and list it on your blog page, and share it up on social media. By doing that, it grows your brand, it grows your relevance, it grows the information that you know, and it makes people realize that you're knowledgeable, that you have current, that you give valuable information. Now, a lot of people would say to me when I would do CPD, and I'd say, put up everything. They'd say, but if you put up everything, nobody will need to come to you. Not true. By putting up as much information as possible, you drive traffic to your website and your business because you become the knowledgeable expert in that area. And this is what builds your credibility and your trustability and your likability online. It takes time, can take 3 to 6 to 9 months before you build it out, but that's what needs to be done. Now, you need to be a real person. So yes, it is possible to share up articles, but try and put a little bit of a personal comment to reinforce what that article is about, or to make it relatable to your firm and your business. So even if you share up an article from the Irish Independent or the Irish Times or any local newspaper, if it's relevant to your county, then put a comment on it that makes it relate to your business and how you feel when people come to you with that type of an issue. You also need positive reviews. Now, when you sign up for a website, you should start by working with your website designer. He is the one that you outsource to create your site. So make sure you use all the resources he has and that you pick his brains and make sure that he does everything for you in the right manner. So people often talk about SEO, which is search engine optimization, and they talk about long tail keywords and short tail keywords and to be found for keywords. That's not your area. Outsource that. Get the proper resource. Pay the person to do it for you, but work with them so that it gets your website the right positive attitude that you need. When Google review websites to go online and be found, and as I said, there's 1.8 billion, what happens is if you're in County Clare and you have a website and you've put up a content piece about a family law situation that was resolved successfully, then you'll have those keywords in it, family law, you might have mediation. Those pieces might be in your article. So then if somebody in Clare Googles, I need to get a separation, or I need to get mediation, or I'm in Clare and I have a family situation, Google finds those keywords in your county and they find it in Clare and your website will come up first. But if you don't write the content, you won't get found. So by doing all of this, it's a circle and it drives traffic to your website all the time. And it means that Google will find you because you have relevant words on your website. The other thing your website designer should do for you when you get your website first up and running, in order to get positive reviews, is you need to get it listed on Google My Business. Now, this has come up before in these practice sessions, in previous sessions, so I'm just reinforcing that for you. Very easy to do. You log into Google My Business, you put up the URL, your web address, and they send you a little piece of code, and that goes on your website. Your web designer should do that for you. Now it means that you can log into Google and you can see the analysis of what happened on your site. And I'll be talking about that later on. So your website should be found, should have a physical address. It should have an about you page with a little bit of a backstory and a little bit of personal history. It should have some page that can be live. And now you can also upload your Twitter feed and your Instagram feed to your website. So those come up on it every day if you put some post up, which puts activity on your site, which means that Google will find it quicker than somebody who has no activity. If everybody on this call did that, it means everybody's would be found. But I know only so very small percentage of you will actually take action. So if you're the one who takes action, you'll be found and the other person will be left behind. So I couldn't urge you enough to upgrade your website. Look at it, consider it as a very valuable piece of real estate for your business and start working on it. So now we're going to have a look at paid traffic. So yes, you can pay Google, you can pay LinkedIn, you can pay Facebook, you can pay Yahoo to do ads for you. Now what that means is when somebody Googles solicitor in Offaly, your website might come up in the little box on the top with the yellow square on the left-hand side, which says it's an ad. That's great, that's fantastic. It'll cost you quite a bit annually, and that's all fine. But if somebody clicks on your ad and goes to your website and you have no information on it, you've lost that advantage. So they click on your website, they were really looking for something in conveyancing. They go to your website, they see your search, your page says, yes, you do conveyancing, but doesn't tell them anything about it. So therefore you lose them. It's like driving them into a cul-de-sac. You have no route for them to go further. So I'd like you to step back for a second and think about what you Googled at the weekend. Did you Google for a new pair of new golf clubs? Did you Google for flowers in your county? Did you Google for food? Did you Google for school books? What did you Google at the weekend? When you were on your phone and you Googled and the link came up and you clicked on it, was it seamless? Did you go from your phone to the website to what you wanted in a very easy manner? Did it navigate easily? Now come out and Google yourself. Google your own firm. See how it navigates. See if you're proud of it. If you clicked on your own link, where did you come on Google on the first page? Were you on the first page? Were you on page 5? Whoever goes to page 5. So you need to think about that. How can you get your website up onto that front page? Yes, you can pay for it, but you don't always have to pay for it. You can also do content. Now, if you do content creation, I think, Justin, you wanted to do a poll here. Do you want to bring it in there now, the first poll?
I'm just going to launch a poll there. So I think there's a really interesting point you're making here, Susan, about sort of unique selling proposition as you land on a web page. What is it about your law firm that's a little bit different or unique? Is it your personality or is it the content that you've developed?
Yeah.
Just let that poll there run for a few seconds, Susan, if you want to just keep talking for.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so what is it about your firm? Sorry, yes. So content creation. So people sort of feel about content that it's just too much. They don't have the time. They're not going to be able to do it. But it is, it is what your firm is about. All solicitors create content because you write a lot of the time about what you do. So a best way to do this is to try and think about how you can make your firm more dynamic. So I often say have a lunchtime meeting or a breakfast meeting, and nowadays it might very well be on Zoom, but tap into the talent and the resource that's in the office. So who would decide in your office to write content every week? Who do you think would be a good person to harvest the information that comes through your office in a week? As I said, what personal injury did you settle this week? What were the key indicators? What, conveyancing did you settle this week? What was the key things that happened? What could you write about that would be of interest? Post it up on your website. It makes your website viable. Share that link to your LinkedIn page, your Facebook business page, your Twitter, and your Instagram. All of that can be done with share buttons on your blog. It does not take time. You simply upload it to your website, click on the button at the bottom, put an appropriate piece of information with it and hit share and it's gone. So a good way to organize it is to have the team meeting, decide who's going to be the content person in the office, who's going to write the piece, who's going to put it on the website. Then at 2 o'clock every day, one person, usually a paralegal can do this. I've often worked with companies and firms where we train a paralegal to do it. 2 o'clock, they log in, see what's new, hit send, and off it goes. And that's it done. Now you're driving traffic to your website. Now you're driving traffic from the media outposts like LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and you're commenting. So if somebody makes a comment on your LinkedIn page, you answer them. You join in the conversation. Now you're having a two-way conversation. You're networking. You're suddenly putting your information out there. You're engaging with people who are interested. And the next thing, it's driving traffic to your business. So then you are front of mind for clients when they want to go to somebody in your area. So I can't see the slide now, Justin, see what else I have there behind the poll. Can you move the poll down a tiny bit for me, please?
Yep, I'll just end that polling there now.
Okay, great. Oh yeah, so it's about,
will I share the results there quickly?
Yes, if you have them there, that's great. Great.
I think what we're seeing there is that a lot of people are blogging, some people are developing emails and newsletters, quite a lot of LinkedIn posting, little less video, and then other. So
excellent. There's people doing something anyway rather than nothing, which is great. So it's about delivering value for your clients. So this thing about value, another aspect that comes up about writing content is a lot of clients, our solicitors, get bogged down with sort of the legality of it and the legalese. You're writing for somebody in the public. So you have a young person, you know, the two young people who want to buy a house. So what are the frequently asked questions they ask you? So if they come into your office, the first 5 questions that they ask you can be turned into a piece of content. You can do question and answer, FAQs on conveyancing, and you can leave that on your website as a download. So when clients come to your website now from Google, they find 5 things about a conveyancing that they didn't know. And now they say, well, look, there's value. He's giving out value. He's given us a download on that. We know to get a loan pack. We need to get this site engineer or whatever. And that gives value for your clients. And they come back to you because you're the person with the information. So it's about aligning your content to what your clients needs. So you need to assess what gives you the most turnover in your firm. Are you mainly a conveyancing firm? Do you do corporate law? Do you do commercial? Do you do mediation? What is it that brings you most of your income? Start with that. Get a frequently asked question up on that drop-down page on your website and start driving traffic to it by reinforcing it with content that clients want to read. Not, what the Gazette needs or what the Law Society needs. It's what clients want, because you're delivering content to clients. And that's a very important fact, not to make it too profound or too highfalutin, I suppose, really. You need to write what clients want. So overall, content creates a huge opportunity for legal firms, which makes you be in the right place at the right time. So as audiences search. So to go back to what Google will do again, you put a piece up on, conveyancing on your site, or mediation. Say you're in Monaghan and you put up a piece on mediation, and somebody needs mediation for a business scenario in Monaghan, and you find it on your website. Well, if they Google it and you've got something on mediation in Monaghan, bang, your website will come up, because that's what Google will do. They will give the person nearest to them, it's geolocated, and they will provide that. And the clients need answers. So legal firms have loads of information, loads of knowledge. You need to harness it, and you need to figure out how you're going to put that out there in content. So you can do a blog. So we already see that 6 out of 10 of you were doing blogging, which is excellent. You can do videos. Now, everybody has smartphones. It's very simple to do videos. Don't be striving for perfection. Strive for progress. So if you think the video is a bit, grainy on your phone and it's not hectic, it's better to put up something than nothing. So you'll get better at it. You'll start then, and then you'll say, okay, I'll buy a microphone or I'll buy a ring light. There's lots of little things you can do. There are lots of apps you can do with video, which have been mentioned before in these sessions. Lumen 5 is an app that can be used for videos very simply and can turn your blog into a video. And you can share that on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or wherever, Twitter. Webinars, I know there's several solicitors around the country who get together and do webinars over and back and chat about a comm piece, and that's for the public so that they can log in and learn something about. Infographics we're using today, and audio, you can do audios as well, but it's easier nearly to do a video now, and ebooks. So again, when a client gets to your website, it's fantastic if they can download an ebook on personal injury. An ebook isn't, 24 pages. It can't just like a white paper, 4 sheets or 5 sheets, a little bit of information. But legal firms have all this information, but they just need to harness it and consider how they're going to put it out there in the future in a usable, shareable situation. Now, I think you have another quick poll on this one before I change this one, Justin.
Yeah, this is just a quick poll on just the regularity of how often you're posting. Are you posting weekly, monthly, bi-weekly? So we'll just let that run there for a second.
Okay. So now,
is it still blocking the screen for you there,
no,
Susan?
I'm okay on this one now. I know what's coming next, so I'm fine. So while you're just clicking in on that one for me, You need to analyze, measure, and adjust. So again, at the top of the chat, I mentioned that your website designer would put Google Analytics on your website for you very easily. And Google Analytics is phenomenal for telling you exactly what's happening with your website. And it's very exciting to realize that when you do a post that people engage with and like, and you see, you know, connections and traffic go up by like 200% just for a couple of posts, then you know you're doing something right. So when you get Google Analytics on your site, again, you log in, you get Google Analytics, you get a piece of code, CSS, and your website designer puts that on your website. You don't have to do anything. Then you go into Google Analytics, you log in, and you just look at what's happening. And it'll tell you what page on your website people came onto. It'll tell you how many people clicked for it in that week and that month. And you'll be able to see which post that you put up on your website drove traffic. Now you're onto something. Now all you have to do is what we call rinse and repeat. You just have to do the same thing, do another post about that, drive traffic, put it on your social media. It'll come back into your website. Google Analytics will tell you whether it worked or not, and do the same thing again. And that's how easy it is to actually measure and report and see where your website is working and see where it isn't. See what you can improve, and Google have any amount of videos to train you and to show you how to do it. But it's a very good way of seeing how accurate you are and how you are actually hitting the nail on the head and getting the right things on your business and the right things up on your social media and your marketing. Okay.
So Susan, it might be just worth, I don't know whether you can see the poll results there. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of people posting weekly. It's more monthly, occasionally, or never. And this would worry me a little bit in relation to the last slide, because unless you're posting regularly, and I would advise weekly, you're going to struggle to move that bar on Google Analytics to get yourself up on the SEO and get yourself found and become relevant.
You know, they say you should Google as often as you want to be found. Well, most people want to be found every day. When you're competing with 1.8 billion websites, you need to be found. And it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen organically. You have to actually do it. And this is why I say a weekly team meeting can be very important. And I'm going to put my neck on the block here and say somebody younger in the office, I don't know what age profile is listening to us here today, but like if you're in your 30s and your 40s, it is not difficult to do all of the social media platforms. They have Instagram in their hand 24/7. Try and get them to harness their energy and put it into your business. You know, if I want to do Instagram, I have to learn. I have to teach myself how to do it. I have to look how to do it. I have to put up all the right pictures, and it's all a bit of a palaver. But young people just do it instinctively. Sure. Harness that energy. Get it going in your office and say to somebody, look, would you be interested in being responsible for our online marketing? You know, give it as an allocation as their job or as their workflow experience or whatever, and just make sure that it's done. And they'll enjoy it, because when you see the results, when you see that you're getting traffic to the business, and when you get a phone call and they say, yeah, I Googled you and I found you online, it's very reaffirming to know that what you're doing is correct. And that, like, there was a time when word of mouth worked for solicitors extremely well. Well, word of mouth now isn't the same. It's now word of mouth. You have to be out there and you have to deliver in order to get your share of the market. And the other factor is a lot of people abroad, you know, would have issues in Ireland that need to be sorted out, particularly probate, and, you know, maybe they might be buying a house for their retirement or whatever, and they want to have somebody local deal with that, but they may not live in Ireland. So if they can't find you online, they don't know you're there. And a lot of solicitors, if you Google them, when I would travel with CPD and I would go and get the Law Society book directory, and I'd go and look and see what websites are like, and then I'd go, and a lot of them don't have any. They'd have no website, and you'd go and find them, and you get this Yelp address. Well, like if you're in Chicago and you want to buy a house in Belmullet, you're not going to like pick up the phone. You're going to look online. You're going to look at, and it's how people are assessed nowadays. And you have to have a profile and a brand online that you're proud of and that you are able to drive traffic through. It's just the way 2021 is going. So just to go back to the overall picture again, so that you just get this umbrella view I'm talking about. The red box in the middle is your website. That is your content hub. That is your real estate online. And that is something that you should work on every week without fail, if not more often. The yellow box, Google, on the left-hand side is page traffic. You need deep pockets. It's going to take money off you. And as I said before, it will drive traffic to your website. But if you have nothing for them on that website, you're putting them into a cul-de-sac. They're not getting any information. They'll go back to Google and take the next person on the list. Right-hand circle is the marketing, and that's LinkedIn, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever platform you find the best. That's content marketing. So you're going to put posts up there. You're going to put up a little video maybe. You're going to, put up articles, and you're going to share that back to your website where they'll get further information about whatever it is that you've written about. The green box on the top is blogs, videos, webinars, infographics, audio, and ebooks. That is your content. Blogs mostly are very simple, and newsletters, I see where quite a few of you are doing newsletters. Newsletters are the next stage really, because they're a great way of reaching a core element of your brand, of your grouping, of your client list. So you'd have newsletters like for family law, you'd have newsletters for conveyancing, you'd have newsletters for, commercial. You wouldn't be sending somebody a commercial, a newsletter on family law. It may not marry. So you need to be very careful that your branding and your niche area is kind of focused, and that you're not annoying people with content that they don't want. So newsletters is a slightly different discussion than in this particular session today. And then of course, measuring it, marketing it, looking at Google Analytics, and indeed LinkedIn do insights and do Facebook. So you can see where your traffic is coming from, and different markets are different times of the day. Facebook is very much in the evening and quite female orientated now, whereas LinkedIn is most definitely business professional. If you do not have a website and you're still listening, you can put up a LinkedIn profile. 100% a LinkedIn profile will be found on Google. So if somebody Googled for a solicitor in Tipperary, you don't have a website, but you are Joe Blogs and you have a very good LinkedIn profile, that will come up on the Google search listings. And that's another way of getting found if you don't actually have a website. So I would strongly recommend the website, work with your website designer, get it started properly, get the whole kind of umbrella hub working correctly, and get going over this autumn. So what do you need to do to have a very good content marketing strategy and to combine the two so that you have a nice fluid piece in the middle? Number one, you need to define your audience. So who are you marketing to? What gives you 80% of your turnover? Is it conveyancing? Is it mediation? Is it commercial law? Is it, family law? What section is the best for you? Is it, data protection, IT, whatever? Then look at that audience, start with that. Get some frequently asked questions up on your website in that subsection dropdown, and then start blogging about that particular section first, because that's the biggest amount of turnover you have. Put it up on LinkedIn and get going from there. Create a content plan. Sit down with your team once a week, at least initially, and then maybe a little bit less, depending on how competent the person is, and drive traffic consistently that's relevant and of valuable interest to your clientele and your audience. Create a plan. Make sure that you have a blog at least once a week, or a content or a LinkedIn comment or a Twitter post, whatever suits you, whatever platform you find the best, then do that and distribute it across the website and social media. The website is the core of your real estate. It's where it should start and finish, and it should actually move out from there across social media, but it should come back to the website again. And that will generate new clients from your content. It will be a drip effect. You slowly but surely build up trust and relatability and value by constantly being in touch with the public. And then you'll be front of mind when they come to think of somebody. It's like that old word of mouth. Instead of word of mouth, they'll say, well, that guy, in Sligo is always posting up. He's relevant, he's valuable, he's current. I like what he says. I trust him. I'm going to give him a shot. And that's how it works. So just to say, did you want to do another?
We'll probably leave that last poll for the moment.
Okay.
We're just running into the last few minutes. There's a question there around that, like people getting bogged down around lots of information. Let's say we took personal injury. That's a huge amount of content, particular there. And
Yeah.
how do we kind of distill it down or pick 5 areas to be specific around? Do you have any tips around that?
Just around personal injury alone, or in general?
No, just in general, when you find yourself in a big area of subject matter, what are the ones, how do you tease out some relevant content pieces?
Questions is as good a place to go. I mean, when somebody comes in for a personal injury claim to your office, then what's the first 5 things they ask you? Like, they want to know, how do I get it structured? How do I get it with the Personal Injury Assessments Board? How long does it take? How many consultations am I allowed? How much does it cost? So break it down and start off that way, and then build it up from there. When you get the feedback to that, then you can do the next piece. But be guided by the client and by the audience. That's what they want to know. They, of course, they're interested in the settlement value, and of course they're interested in how long it take. Will it take 2 years? Will it take 3 years? Or how long will it take? That's all relevant. But start with what they want to know. You have to keep the audience in mind. When you're doing content like that, you'll come across this term also in digital marketing called your buyer persona. You're writing for the person across the desk. In a lawyer situation, you're dealing with a client who has, again, a conveyancing issue, a boundary issue, a personal injury issue, or whatever. Write to that person. Keep them first and foremost in your mind and make it simple. And then they'll understand the answer. And then the next person who comes to your website will see that you can have empathy with them, and that's where, solicitors can win out big time compared to other businesses where robots are taking over. You can't beat empathy. You have to have empathy in order to strive in business. And solicitors meet their clients and they have empathy with them, and that builds trust, relatability, and value. And that's really important. So the top 10 tips.
That's great, Susan. Would you want to just go through those last few tips? We're just running to the end of our allocated time. I get the feeling we could go on a lot longer on this.
Can you take the poll down for me so I can see it, Justin, please?
I will, of course. Yeah, sorry about that.
Great,
so we'll just end the polling there.
So this is just a quick wrap up of the whole situation. You need to commit to weekly content creation. We've discussed this. Try and have a weekly meeting with the team, a lunch or a breakfast or whatever suits, and work with somebody in the office who's prepared to do it. Build a contacts list and use a specialist email marketing tool. That's a whole other subject, Justin, for another day. Identify the person to be responsible. I've just said that. Each week, gather newsworthy stories and ideas. It can be something that's in the paper, and then it can be something that you can relate to your particular business. Monitor it on LinkedIn and post it up and share it. Meet weekly to discuss it. Videos, articles, whatever you're comfortable with. Post a weekly news item to the newsletter or your website essential. Text the video, and consistent weekly communications. Habit makes it easier. Consistency, consistency, consistency. So I know we're kind of against the clock, so I'm just going to wrap it up with this. This is just really what I want to reinforce for you. So if you could say that 1 to Z is equal to 1 to 26, then knowledge, which we've just gone through, is only 96%. Hard work, which we all have to do every day, is 98%. Both of them are absolutely essential, but they fall short of 100%. But your attitude is 100%. I love this whole thing. If you don't have the right attitude, if you're not coming into September and the autumn with a dynamic attitude towards putting your website as your valuable real estate on the Google map, it won't work. You have to get up tomorrow and say, okay, lads, we're going to do this. What are we going to do? Let's start with the team meeting in the office. Who has the interest? Who has the resources? What are we going to blog about first? What content could we do that's relevant to us, that would build our niche speciality of law in our town? Start there. And if you start there, once you get started and consistently keep at it, you will grow your brand online, you'll grow your traffic online, and you will grow your footfall. There is no doubt about it. So that's me done there, Justin.
Susan, you're infectious. It's great.
I'm a minute.
And you're in on time. So thanks a million. That's been really great to hear your story today. I'm sorry we don't have more time to go into more, but maybe we'll come back to it on another day. So I know next week we've got Paul Hajek from Cluxton Cox, who's a real legend in this business of using technology and websites, and he's written books. And so I'm really excited about having him on the show. So we look forward to having him next week. So Susan, again, thanks a million for all your help. If you wouldn't mind just putting up the schedule for the next, for the sessions that are coming up. And we'll see you all next week at 1 o'clock. So thanks a lot, Susan. With Paul Cluxton next week. Paul Hajek from Cluxton Cox. So thank you very much for everybody for joining us today. Susan, you're brilliant and infectious, and I really encourage everyone to get out there and start developing some content and putting it out on your website or on LinkedIn, and that's what moves the needle on SEO and creates activity and excitement for your business. So slán.